Don't you find it interesting that some athletes are rock stars and no matter how much pressure they're under, they just crush it, versus other athletes who are at the same level, making boku ducats, are in those situations and they 4 reasons why athletes choke right after this. All right, so this is crazy, right? We've all been in these situations where it's high pressure, right? This is do or die. And we start freaking out. What happens? Pressure goes through the roof. Stress goes through the roof. We perceive it as very, very big and we end up choking, and we need to figure out why, right? The oxygen is actually cut off from the thinking part of your brain if you're gonna make clear decisions on the ice, because your body is busting out into that fight or flight mode that we've talked about in previous lessons. And we wanna understand why. So here we go. Okay, so number 1 is called distraction theory. And there's a lot of data that's coming into our brain. There's a lot of external noise, we'll call it the noise that we hear, how loud the crowd is, or who's in the crowd, or if they're holding a clipboard, analyzing you. You feel that, right? And with a lot of data coming in, sometimes you miss key information or some data that it happens to slip by you. When we miss that data coming in or that stimulus, you know, if you're a defenseman and you step out behind the net and you go to make an outlet past the wall, maybe because of that weight, you've missed someone coming in on your peripheral. Maybe F1 is coming at the right route and shocks you because you don't think they're going to be there in time. Or you go to make a pass to the wall and you overthink it for a split second and F2 is already there. So that distraction is all about missed information, and it's because your brain is bombarded with info. Number 2 is all about signal detection theory. And, you know, in high pressure situations like that, athletes get super jittery, a little anxious, and sometimes as a result, we overcommit. And that's why we see false starts happening in track and field all the time, or swimming, right? Off the gun, bang, and they take off too soon. It's because they're too jittery and too nervous and too anxious. Our nervous system becomes overstressed, overstimulated, and we goof. Number 3 is all about conscious processing. Now, it's a big fancy way for thinking about your thinking, right? Also known as metacognition. When we want a certain outcome to happen, we try to force that outcome to happen, right? And we overthink it. That's why golfers struggle, right? Or if you have a breakaway, you're like, I've got to put the puck right there in the top corner. And if you start thinking about that and you try to force it, chances are the outcome doesn't happen. And we choke. That's right. And number 4, ironic effect. As athletes, we try to, again, force things to happen. And by default, we try to avoid things we don't want. Well, good luck trying not to focus on what you don't want. And that's all the energy ends up going to, and we have a bad result. So those are the 4 reasons why athletes choke. So if you're in these situations, try your best to take a breath. Give your prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of your brain, some oxygen. You know, take a breath, talk to your coaches, okay? Talking helps activate and calm down that part of the brain, and trust your skills, okay? You've done this for a long time. Your body is there on autopilot for a reason. I'm Coach Corey with Mentally Charged, and if you got any questions about this lesson, please reach out on social media at Mentally Charged, or contact me directly, info@mentallycharged.com. I'm Coach Corey, and you got me in your corner.